It's so dusty in this bitch. Oh my god. Wow. I have not done this in way too long. So, Silksong comes out at the time of this recording 2 days. As a matter of fact, it is 2 days before the release of Silksong, and I have only just gotten the first ending to Hollow Knight. Now, in my defense, I had always planned to eventually get to Hollow Knight. It was literally sitting on my Switch for like 2 full years. I bought it one day when it was on sale. I started to play the game, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm feeling a Metroidvania right now, or, you know, if it fits into that category. I know it's not a Souls-like, I know it's not that. So I decided, you know what, I'll come back to this eventually. I'm not feeling that yet, right? And I feel bad, right? Because it's one of those situations in which everybody finally decided to hop on the hype train because Silksong is coming out. And so they're like, okay, you know, this game has been a running meme for so long now that there's no way that we can just ignore it now that it's actually coming out, right? Because the joke is that Silksong was never actually coming out. It was a Half-Life 3 situation, it was a Kingdom Hearts 3 and 4 situation. To just as bad of an extent, it is the Half-Life of indie games, right? So, now that we have finally gotten an actual, genuine release date that is only a couple of days away, everybody was like, you know what? Now's a better time than ever to go ahead and give Hollow Knight a shot. And unfortunately, I did indeed catch that bug, right? You guys know me. I've explained this on the channel multiple times. When I want to get into a series, when I want to understand something, I want to understand everything I possibly can from the beginning, right? And I finally got my hands on Hollow Knight. I finally started to actually get into the game. I got to the point where I was waking up every morning looking forward to Hollow Knight, thinking, okay, this is the ability that I'm obviously going to need to progress to this area, and this area is blocked off because of that. And I found myself strategizing, trying to, you know, remember where to go, here, there, this, that, obtaining whatever abilities I can so that I can progress to the next area, get to that next boss fight, get to that next story moment. You know what I mean? And I'm very, very glad that I did, right? Now, here's the thing. Like I said, I only got the first ending, right? And, you know, I guess that might be a little bit of a spoiler, but this game's been out for almost a decade now. So, you know, nobody, myself included, has any real excuse to be, you know, spoiled too badly on it. Hopefully that's not too much of a spoiler, but obviously, yes, there are multiple endings. I'll put a little spoiler warning at the beginning here, because I will be explaining, you know, my thoughts. These are my raw thoughts post beating Hollow Knight. Obviously, I don't actually feel like I beat it, because there's obviously so much more to get into, but these are just my post thoughts in beating Hollow Knight. This game is something else, right? To its art style, to its design, to its atmosphere, to its mechanics. This is a game made with genuine heart, and I absolutely love to see that. When people say indies are the future of the video game industry, they are never kidding, right? And that is definitely the case of Hollow Knight, which has sat at like the top, like easily one of the crowns of indie games for the last couple of years, right alongside like Shovel Knight and Celeste and stuff like that. It's been up there for such a long time now, and you know, playing it for the first time, actually getting my hands on it, getting a grip on it, getting a grasp of how the mechanics are supposed to work and how you're supposed to progress, I finally feel like I have a general understanding of that, right? And I feel fearful of trying to say that I fully understand everything, because again, upon getting the first ending, I feel like I barely scratched the surface. You know what I mean? There's still so much to this game that I feel like I really, really need to experience, right? And I really, truly wanted to do that, but unfortunately, by the time that I finally had time to truly sit down with it, I was still getting busy with other things, and next to that, this recent weekend was the worst of it, because the Sonic Racing Crosswords beta came out, and that had me by the balls, man. That sucker was so good, bro. I'm gonna be talking that, for the record, today I'm talking about Hollow Knight. The rest of this week is gonna be Sonic Racing. Prep up for that for anybody that cares, right? But I'm absolutely astounded with this game. I'm so pleased by what I've come to uncover, right? I just love the vibes of going through Hollow Nest and the underground and this hidden kingdom that was once something thriving and, you know, something interesting, you know, finding all of its secrets, all of its lore, you know what I mean? And I say that to an extent, again, because I feel like there's so much. Again, I feel like I've only really scratched the surface, you know? I love meeting all these different fun and unique characters, you know what I mean? Matt Boy with his wife, you know, that was really fun. I started to record a little bit of a Let's Play, and I just had so much fun giving all these characters, like, little voices and little personalities and things like that. I just love meeting all of them. You know, the little guy that you find just kind of camping around different areas and stuff like that, that's just kind of talking his talk, talking his shit to you. You know what I'm saying? I absolutely adore stuff like that. This game has, you know, little itty-bitty characters for you to run into, and, you know, these little personalities that they very clearly had so much fun writing. Right, and I absolutely adore that. That's how you know that a game was made with love, when they have, you know, characters like this that are just kind of roaming around, and you get to know them for, you know, who they are, and you put them in different little scenarios, and it's just so funny to see what they do, you know? Like that little guy that I was talking about, talking his shit, he gets caught up in a situation where you have to fight like something of a mini boss and save him, and it's just so funny for him to be like, I could have handled that, I didn't need you. Like, no, you didn't, buddy, but I'm glad I was here to help you, because it's fun to get to know you, you know what I mean? You get to meet all these cool little shopkeepers, all of these different figures, all these different ghosts of the past, all these different characters that have had so much history with the Underground, with Hallownest, with this hidden kingdom, you know? And it's just so interesting, especially the journey that you are going on. The one thing that I knew about Hollow Knight, again, I'll make sure to put a spoiler warning at the beginning. Future Soul, you better remember, okay? I'm telling you again. The one thing I remembered going into Hollow Knight was somebody saying, I think it was a meme on Twitter or something, but somebody said, this character is not Hollow Knight. And it was the main character. I was like, he's not? Who is he then? You know what I mean? And that's what's so interesting, was that was the one thing I knew going into that game. And I feel like that was what intrigued me the most, because I'm like, okay, I know that this isn't Hollow Knight. Who is this? Am I going to learn about that throughout this? You know what I mean? And, you know, I'm going to be running through the game multiple times to really get all the endings, get all the lore, and get a better understanding of what is actually genuinely going on with this world, because there's so much, right? And, you know, it's a lot of stuff that's hidden in, like, subtext and context clues and stuff like that. You really have to make sure to look around, read every little thing, every little piece of literature that you walk by, you know, the Wanderer's Journals. I don't know if you can read those. If I can, I would love to go back and read all the Wanderer's Journals that I collected. I collected a good few, you know. I got like 55% of the collectibles. I would like to bump that up a little more, you know. Getting to know Hornet as a character was actually very interesting. She refers to you as a little ghost, and that was the thing that really caught my eye. I was like, little ghost, like, what am I, bro? Am I like a reincarnation and stuff like that? Like, what is going on, you know? And those multiple fights against her, it was so cool. Like, fighting against Hornet, that felt like a true rival fight, you know? And then, you know, by the time that you go to the that certain area to get the, you know, proper upgrade so that you can dash through walls, but you're recognized as a king. You get like a king's symbol that you carry with you so that you can bust through one of the walls to progress through the main story. It's really cool that she is even like, you know, obviously this place has recognized you as its next kin, or like king of some sort. So, you know, hopefully you go down the proper path that helps everybody for the better. You know what I mean? It might not be a great path, but if it's a path that you need to take, then you got to do it. And, you know, it was kind of like a little bit of a mutual respect kind of thing. Like, she understands what you're doing now to an extent, and so, you know, she allows you to go on with your journey, do your own thing, do things how you feel you need to do, you know, and then that's when you really, you know, progress to fight the Hollow Knight, you know, the real person, you know, the real one, like, that's been trying to, you know, the seal's been weakening the more that you, you know, fight the little guardian heads that were protecting the underground and stuff like that. It was just such a weird situation, you know. I really need to go back through and get a better grasp on the story, and, you know, feel free to help explain anything in the comments if you know, feel like there's something that I should probably know about all of this, or some way that I could, you know, better understand the lore a little bit, because I'm always down to learn more. But this world is so intriguing, and it's so funny because it's just a bunch of bugs, man. It's a bunch of bugs, like. That's so cool, though. Right? That's so awesome. I love the fact that they had this creative idea to utilize all these different bugs and turn them into characters, into enemies, into bosses, into its own unique world with unique lore. This game is something else, man, and I can definitely see myself doing multiple playthroughs. This is one of the few Metroidvanias that, it didn't feel as overwhelming as a typical Metroidvania, right? Because the thing with like Metroid Prime or even like Metroid Dread is that, because of how they're developed, because of how they're built, I feel like there's just so many things that are just so easy to miss and forget. And fun fact about me, my memory is garbage. Cannot for the life of me remember where the hell I need to go in a Metroidvania. Metroid I had a lot of trouble with without looking stuff up, and I'm not gonna lie about that kind of thing. There's no reason for me to, because I still enjoyed it for what it was. I completely understand what it was trying to go for. The entire point is for you to go around, collect, learn about these different places, really keep an eye on, I can't go here yet because I obviously need something. You go and finally inevitably get that upgrade, and then you come back and it maybe leads you to a new area or to a new upgrade or something of that sort. Most of these Metroidvanias seem to work the exact same way, which is why I really do appreciate Hollow Knight giving more unique visual cues and things like that, and a much more bearable map, if I'm completely honest. I don't know what it is about Metroid having such a big map, you know what I mean? Especially Prime, it felt so overwhelming, but maybe that's just a me problem. I'm sure it was, but I really like the way that Hollow Knight's map is developed. It really helped me get around a little bit more. If I felt like I missed something, or I feel like, I got an upgrade and I couldn't remember exactly where to go, there were times where I just felt it was totally fine for me to just start fresh and go back through the map, just searching as carefully as I can, and then I'll remember like, oh yeah, this area did have something for me to go to, so, and this is, again, my first run through. Okay, I still have a bunch of collectibles to get. I still need to upgrade all of my, what's the situation where you can put on the little badges and things like that? I need to upgrade that. I need to upgrade my masks. I need to upgrade my soul storage. There's just so much I still need to do, and I feel like even seeing the credits roll, if my playthrough feels like super incomplete, and I like that. I feel like that's very obviously the point. They put out so much content for this game, and there's like so obviously so many different bosses and so many different scenarios that I have yet to run into that I don't want to miss that, I don't know. Like, part of me is thinking like, should I go back and do this, or should I play this and Silksong in conjunction, or should I just hold off entirely on Silksong and just completely just run house on Hollow Knight as much as I can? And then eventually, when I do feel like I've truly completed and gotten everything that I can out of it, that's when I deserve to move on to Silksong. You know what I mean? Because people have beaten Hollow Knight probably hundreds of times. They have more than a right to call it their favorite game, and they understand it to an extent that I possibly could never. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't blame those people if somebody like me hopping on the bandwagon here, played through one time and, got really invested, only got one ending. It's like, okay, I'm good. Let's run over to Silksong. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. You know what I mean? I'm a Kingdom Hearts fan, people saw the new shiny thing. Some of them caught that bug and they wanted to hop on the hype train. Maybe they played Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 and then played 3, and it was just like, what's going on? Of course you don't know what's going on. You didn't actually complete Kingdom Hearts. And, I don't want to be that hypocrite that, doesn't really play enough Hollow Knight and then truly doesn't understand Silksong, So I'm going to do everything in my power to learn as much lore and, gain as much, knowledge, history, and gameplay as I can, get as much as I can out of Hollow Knight before I finally feel satisfied enough to just hop into Silksong. You know what I mean? I want to try, because Hollow Knight actually is very, very, very awesome as a game, and I really do love the time that I spent with it, and I plan on spending much, much more time with it, So I'm looking forward to that time. But that's about enough from me. Right? Now, this was just a little bit of a ramble because I haven't recorded like this in months, and I really wanted to get back into a groove, and I feel like doing it this way kind of kicked things into high gear for me, you know, because I have so many videos written out that I want to record, and I don't want to just be the mic, you know, like only that, you know what I mean? I want to do more of this too, but I want to save the mic stuff for like maybe more news oriented stuff, you know what I mean? So for discussion based stuff, we could do this. Maybe news stuff, we could do, you know, camera or video game only. We'll see what happens. But regardless, I'm passing the mic over in your direction. I want you guys to tell me everything that you're thinking in the comment section below. Are you in the same boat as me? Do you feel like you also caught the Hollow Knight bug? You really wanted to see what was going on, but you don't feel like you had enough time to really get through everything because there's just so much content built up over the years that you don't really know what it's going to be like hopping into Silksong, but regardless, you are super excited for Silksong? Or did you not catch the Hollow Knight bug? You don't really care about this at all, but you are maybe interested in Silksong, or maybe you don't care about Silksong at all. Maybe that's not your cup of tea, and that's just, you know, not what you're looking for. Tell me everything that you're thinking in the comment section below, because you know for a fact that I'm always going to be down there with you guys. But with that, yes sir, it does appear to be Skedaddle O'Clock, so I'm going to go ahead and do exactly that. I'd like to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and consider subscribing for more content just like this here. And with that, I'm gone, so thanks again, hope you enjoyed, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Do me the greatest favor, taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!